Join Samantha and Hans at the next Macro to Micro Options Power Hour, held each Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Registration is free. Scan this QR code or click on the link in the description.
On the Nvidia question, something else we talked about last week, and since I've got this chart, I might as well put it right here and show that I had talked about these incremental $10 views. Okay, so this is right now after market. We're pushing 117 on that press release that came from Trump, right, regarding AI, and how it's interpreted is bullish. Anyway, I saw that 116, very important to get and stay above this 116 before it can move into and through that trend line, before that trend line can break and it can move into the 200-day, which I hate to take this off. I'm going to take it off so you can see it. See that green? This is another green. That's the 200-day, which is basically that 126 area. So I think we could move up into the 126 area for earnings, and then let's see. I have as my outside price for May 136 post earnings. So that's basically what I've got because I'm not very bullish in Q3. So for right now, Nvidia's 116, 126, 136. I think it's done.
Again, and Miguelica talks about this, how it, that upside is cheap. So anybody who's played the upside for the last 500 points, they got into it cheap. And I think if you want to continue, I think the pain point still is a little bit up here for some time, because I think into that May expiry, we could just stay bid. Now, I will note that I can think of a few times over the last year when I've said, I think we'll go one more week of buying, and that was it. That was basically my signal to basically get out of positions. So we'll see if that plays out. I think you were looking at some work that somebody had done showing that there's a lot of supply, 0DT short-term puts lately. And so from an institutional standpoint, and so what that is, I think we heard a bit of that from Brent as well. And that basically, that's a sort of call that in the short term, we are probably going to remain somewhat bid. That replenishes dealers, they get positive gamma, that creates a little bit of support for markets. But then the question is, what happens after when we get there? That's a bet that things stay quiet for a week and a half. That is not a bet that we stay quiet for the next 3 months. So it's merely a very targeted bet saying we are going to grab some implied volatility. We're going to grab some premium right here and harvest that, and then all bets are off. If we look at the gamma profile, we're shortish all the way along. So there's that accelerant that we talk about is there. So if we do get that spark, we always need the spark. Gamma doesn't do anything on its own, but we need the spark. And if we do get that spark, it could be a very different reality. We could start to see a lot of volatility again.
So you are being called, this is from T again. He's our comic relief. I'm shorting more into Q2 and Q3, which makes me short Hans, our favorite Canuck. I think we have to get through a really dangerous summer. And this is what right now, many are not seeing signs of the supply chain disruptions, and they're not feeling the layoffs because they lag. And Powell was out today talking about we can't be proactive. We have to be reactive. So there's no hard data yet. Jobless claims are still under my threshold of 267,000. The unemployment rate itself is going to be very much in disguise of the actual economic pain that's being felt by small businesses who are absolutely going to suffer as a small and medium as a result of tariffs, especially if they stick. Powell was also saying, hey, if these tariffs stick around, we're not going to be cutting. And they also, by the way, exactly at that moment when we got that news, we had two other things taking place. Deutsche Bank came out and said, we don't see a rate cut until December. And so we haven't priced out the rate cuts that have been priced in for June and so on. The second thing was President Trump and President Xi had some words together, which was Trump said, yeah, I'm not thinking about lowering the tariffs of 145% on China. Now he's saying that 8 minutes before the FOMC statement is released. And he's saying that after Vicente is scheduled to fly to Switzerland to talk de-escalation with China. At the same moment, we got a response from the president of China who said, I'm looking forward to talking ties and cooperation with Putin. He's in Russia right now. So they're playing this game again. It's little boy game, but on a global stage, exactly as Powell is about to present at the podium. So we still don't have any resolution. Long story short, he must have said, I don't know, Powell 20 times. So I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. And I love the Apollo quote that I gave yesterday to clients. No vessel will book past July 8th without clear policy guidance. So he's talking about, obviously, the drama right now not being not being priced in to the market, but a very large bet Citibank and Apollo analysts are making for a summer recession. So we're talking retail reckoning. We're talking a huge hit to logistics, rail, trucking, shipping. There's another very reputed, there are folks that are really on top of this going, the recession is going to start in the LA ports because that's a mammoth entryway for imports that are not going to make their way to the shelves, and customers don't see that yet. And this is something that's not priced in. So I think the market is still pricing in trade deals, tax cut deals, everything getting resolved in the next month or removed in the next month. And basically, I have big doubts about that. But in the meantime, T, you're right. There is still this systematic mechanical buying, and we've got puts that are covering, but they're still hedged. If we were to get over, I think 57.50, we'd start to see a gamma squeeze on the upside. But that's where I think we could also kind of tag, maybe go over a little bit and then come right back down.
Join Samantha and Hans at the next Macro to Micro Options Power Hour, held each Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Registration is free. Scan this QR code or click on the link in the description. Watch the full Options Macro to Micro Power Hour episode by clicking on the video here and subscribe to LaDucTrading YouTube channel for more content.